All of you kindly put on your cameras. And Rahul, please play Saraswati Vandana.
या कुन्देन्दु तुषारहारधवला या शुभ्रवस्त्रावृता या वीणावरदण्डमण्डितकरा या श्वेतपद्मासना या ब्रह्माच्युतशङ्करप्रभृतिभिः देवैः सदा वन्दिता सा मां पातु सरस्वती भगवती निःशेषजाड्यापहा।
A very good morning to Dr. Praveer Sinha, who is our today's chief guest. He is CEO and Managing Director of Tata Power Company Limited, India's largest integrated power utility. He has a large experience, had been CEO and MD of Tata Power Delhi Distribution, a doctorate from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, and a visiting research associate at MIT Boston and so many other universities. Other than that, all the coordinators who have joined us today, an amazing team ATAL at AICTE, participant faculty members, it is indeed my proud privilege to address this August gathering of ATAL faculty development programs every Monday. It is one of the most value addition scheme of faculty development, and definitely so. Reason being that it is the faculty members and students who are at the core of entire teaching learning process. And there is a common consensus we often discuss among all the stakeholders that disruptive technological advancements and COVID pandemic have resulted in a paradigm shift in the whole landscape of academia. See, every time I say, and I think it still makes sense, and that when you talk about this paradigm shift, that futuristic education is highly collaborative, cross-institutional, cross-cultural, multi-directional, converging men and machine, exploration of new technology and new pedagogies is continuously taking place. Students have become an equal contributor of a knowledge economy. It is a self-paced, self-directed, interest-based learning ecosystem. Our tools of learning have changed, whether it is video conferencing, Skype, wikis, blogs, virtual classrooms, simulators, MOOCs, animated laboratories, personalized data from highly interconnected world, and so on and so forth. These being our learning techniques. So when these are our learning techniques, what changes we need in the role of teachers? So when we talk about teachers, many of our professors, associate professors, who have joined this profession more than 20 years back, they have tuned to, they have learned to teach in a particular manner. They understand their broad understanding of their disciplines. However, AI, machine learning, IoT, blockchain, all these emerging areas which have taken a lot of relevance and even industry applications in today's time, how do you make sure that they have core competency in these areas? How do you make sure that they have an interconnecting effective pedagogy in these areas? How should teaching learning assessment take place in these areas? And what kind of applications that industry is needing from the human capital which we are developing is needed. So it is with these context, every Monday we have these ATAL FDPs, and today 20 such FDPs are being inaugurated. Our intention is that when our teachers approach their classes, they have absolute core competence in their domain. They understand the pedagogy. They also are hands-on with the practicals of these, and also they are able to assess the effective online or offline or blended teaching learning process. There are issues in the system because sometimes the lack of devices or lack of good connectivity of data may be one of the challenge. Then, our training of our teachers to teach in such disruptive technological advancement is another challenge. Industry academia linkage, that industry really needs to come forward to tell our teachers that, look, these are the evolving trends, these are the new technologies, the application of these technology is such, and this is what we need from you, this is what we expect from you. So it is a very symbiotic relationship. We develop human capital index and industry actually engages with this human capital index. So it is with this specific reason, with this foundation, that every Monday we invite some or the other expert from the industry so that we hear them out, we understand what is it which we need to do to ensure enhancement in the employability, which is roughly at 43% of all the engineers who are passing out. We have been revising our curricula continuously. We have been integrating experts. We have been continuously training our teachers in core areas, in assessment patterns, in new pedagogies, in trying to make a shift in their attitudinal aspect, in their psychological leanings, so that they understand that teaching is a continuous learning process in itself. We have also been trying to tell them that technology is changing faster, students' adoption to these technology is still slower, and teachers' adoption to these technology is much slower, and that is creating the gap, and that is the gap which we need to fill. With these aspects, every Monday I request all my faculty members who attend these programs, all the coordinators who conduct these programs, that please take these ATAL FDPs very seriously. We try to have resource for people across the globe, from industry, best of our institutions, and please ensure that you give your 100% to FDPs to take the value out of these FDPs. With these words, I once again thank Dr. Sinha to be with us, and now I would hand over to my worthy colleague, Dr. Datta, to introduce our chief guest, and after that, our chief guest can kindly address this August gathering. Thank you so very much. All the very best. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mamta, for your kind words. I welcome to all the dignitaries, chief guests of today's program. I know there is a little shift in the program schedule, which we have scheduled to you. Dr. Mamta has spoken a little earlier because of she has some engagements in some other programs. AICT's undivided focus for the quality education and creating a complete ecosystem for quality teaching learning process. So ATAL is a very hybrid, gigantic flagship program for creating ATAL fraternity in India. Yes, it's going to be a team of highly motivated academic leaders in our country. A United Nations Sustainable Goals 11 out of 17 spells about the sustainable cities and commodities. I was just reading the McKinsey report. It says over the next 5 to 10 years, the skill set of traditionally automakers and suppliers will need to be shift dramatically. Several factors will drive this change. The rising importance of in-vehicle software and the connected autonomous cars increases the need for the digital talent, putting OEMs worldwide in direct competition with Silicon Valley and the Chinese digital giants. But the shift isn't merely an issue of seeking out new kind of engineers. Despite 2020 being a tipping year for the electric vehicle sales, automakers, consumers will need to accelerate their adoption if we hope to meaningfully limit climate change. The reducing carbon emission from vehicle is critical Currently, the road transport accounts for 13% of global carbon emission. The decade between the 2025 and 2035 will determine whether the industry keep cumulative CO2 emission for passenger cars through 2050 to under 45 gigatons. So these are the several challenges which industry is facing, and we need to upgrade our students according to the need of the industry. The building construction in UAE is now mandated with the IoT and the AI application to regulate temperature and humidity characterization during the construction. The powerful, and the purposeful insertion of a friendly bacteria to heal the concrete cracks, weathers, and leaks. And bans in cities like Mumbai will create the lot of job opportunities and employability in not only construction but also research and manufacturing concrete. Just imagine you have a concrete bridge road in your city that absorbs solar energy during the day and emits light after sunset. This is likely to happen in Mexico. A great idea, isn't it? Leading to a lots of reduced energy requirement, reduced carbon emission, and leading to more sustainable development. I once again welcome to today's chief guest, Dr. Praveer Sinha sir. Just looking to the paucity of time, I will address this over him. I'd like to give a brief introduction. Dr. Praveer Sinha is the CEO
I think there is an issue with Dr. Datta's connection. So I'll quickly say that Dr. Sinha.
role. He had served as the CEO and MD of Tata Power Delhi Distribution Limited, a public-private partnership with the Delhi government. He is a qualified electrical engineer and has done masters in business law from University of Bangalore. He is visiting research associate at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, Boston, USA, and is also a distinguished visiting scholar at the Faculty of Engineering and Architectural Sciences at Sun University, Canada. He is a regular speaker in various forums in India and abroad, including World Bank, Niti Aayog, MIT, and Rockefeller Foundation. He is also the co-chairman of the CII National Committee on Power and also on various industries body. We once again welcome you, sir. Kindly address this august gathering. Over to you, sir.
Kindly unmute yourself, Dr. Sinha. Unmute yourself.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Datta. Thank you, Dr. Agrawal. And thank you, Mamta ji, for giving me the opportunity to come and be a part of this prestigious ATAL Academy that you have set. And I'm sure this will pave the way for huge change and transformation in how the dissemination of education takes place in the colleges. Let me first try to put some issues in the perspective and especially talk about just 2 minutes about Tata Power. We are a 106-year-old company, traditional company, coal-based plant, hydro plants, transmission, distribution. And it was few years back we realized that there is a huge change that is happening globally, and we need to revisit how we will be relevant in next 100 years. And I say this because this is something that every institution, every organization has to do at some stage, that how do they reinvent themselves and become relevant. And we saw that there are 3 changes which are happening globally in the power sector. We, of course, had the power sector, which thanks to Thomas Alva Edison more than 100 years back, large generating plants, large transmission system, large distribution. But the new technology said that we need to first of all decarbonize, and this is reality. This is code red in the sense that the way the world is changing, the way our ocean levels are increasing, the way the Arctic is disintegrating. So it's important, and we can see this in our own country where the cyclones and the extent of weather changes which are happening is phenomenal. And for us, we need to really quickly get into action. So the decarbonization is a reality, and it's also an opportunity for us to really revisit. We can next the second area that we saw is digitization. We had only one way of using it. It was unidirectional. One side we used to produce, transmit, and give it to the consumers. And today, the distribution of energy is decentralized. You can yourself, you can give it to the grid. And the third is the digital technology. We all were electrical engineers. We were taught that this is how the network will work. There's one way that the electron flow takes place. Now the two-way electron takes place. Along with the electron, the data also flows, and the data flows both ways. And I think that's the change and the transformation that we are seeing. And that's the biggest disruption that is happening in the power sector. Typically, power sector has been very, very conservative, had all its challenges as a brick and mortar industry. But we have to change, and this is not something that we can push it to 2040 and 2050, but we have to change today and now. And I think it's a great opportunity for the industry as well as for that we can work together. And how do we integrate operational technology? How do we integrate the hardware part of it, the distribution automation that we can do, how the existing grids can be automated, and how it can be managed and controlled remotely on a real-time basis. So it also talks about being interdisciplinary. In fact, I'll tell you that last 5-6 years, more than electrical engineering, I have been studying about the telecom engineering, that how we bring latency in bringing data on real basis so that you can manage the grid in a much smarter way. And for this to happen, it is important that institutions revisit the pedagogy, they revisit the curriculum, and revisit the way the application of many of these technologies can happen. In my last few years in the power sector, that I have been working very closely with the institutions in India and outside India. I have been involved in working with nearly 12 institutions outside India and about 12 institutions in India on doing some of the co-collaboration work in figuring out that how do we address the new challenges. And I'll share with you just 2 examples. We typically have universal access of energy, which is a challenge. And we wanted to come up with solutions that how we can have distributed energy in villages. Otherwise, you have in India more than 600,000 villages. How do we provide universal access? How do we ensure that everyone in the village gets energy when they want and not when it is being provided by the utility? And can we have standalone solutions over there? So to do that, we said that we will start figuring out. And how do you do? One is you go and do the physical survey of those villages. The other is, do we have any other mechanism? And we started using satellite imagery. We took nearly, along with MIT, we took together something like 40,000 satellite images during daytime as well as nighttime to figure out what is the electrical network and how many houses and shops are there in various. Of course, the validation was done subsequently, but the initial data came out of that. And using data analytics, we could figure out that typically if a house is there or how many houses are there, what sort of employment opportunity it can create if the electrification can be done in those villages. And we did this work in India. We also did it in some places in Africa, in sub-Sahara Africa, and we could develop a good solution, which is today known as awesome optimized cost of electrification that can be provided to villages. So there was a solution which was used for reaching out to various villages in India as well as in sub-Sahara Africa. Another area that we again started looking that when we do the network planning, we have tools which are there, and these are static tools which are more for network designing and planning. But how do we do this in a changed environment? Today, you have large number of people who are doing rooftop solar. You have large number of people who are talking of electric vehicles. Now, if all of a sudden 100 electric vehicles gets charged, how do you manage the feeder? How do you manage the local load over there? How do you have an interplay? And this has to be done on real-time basis. It cannot be that if 100 people charge, the grid collapses locally, the feeder collapses locally, the supply goes off. So we are now working with a university again to develop a dynamic tool whereby the load can move from one feeder to another feeder, and that flexibility can be provided. And today, with the type of sensors, the type of data that you can get on real time, this is something which is absolutely doable. It is not something which we cannot do. Now, when we get many of the graduate engineers who come and join us, they are still not fully aware of many of these technologies and the opportunities which are there. And I must admit that it takes us quite a bit of time to really train them and get them ready through the various learning and development programs we run for them to make them understand, starting from the basics. In fact, when we start doing this data analytics, the first thing is we teach them the various languages, whether it is the R language or it is Python or it is MATLAB or any of the languages before they start getting into the analytics part of it and the intelligence that can be brought in. So I think there is a great opportunity for the industry and the academia collaboration. There are large number of projects we can do. In fact, we have now arrangements with IIT Madras and IIT Delhi and the Engineering College in Chandigarh, PEC, as also a few other places, including IIT Bombay, so that we can work with them and come up with solutions. And these are application solutions because these are solutions which are required under Indian conditions. In fact, one of the very interesting projects that we did with IIT Delhi was that how under different load conditions and different ambient conditions, the life of the battery can be enhanced, because in a 45-degree temperature or 47-degree temperature, the life of the battery then it is at 30-degree or 35-degree temperature. Similarly, on the various charging, discharging and deep discharging solutions, the cycles that you run are not the normal 5,000 cycles that we talk of, but it is very different. And how do you take care of this, and how do you bring the intelligence in the battery management system to ensure that this does not lead to reducing the lifespan of the battery. So I think that there is a very, very big necessity that the whole curriculum itself needs to be revisited. The earlier time when I studied, electrical machines, MG, book and all that were very, very important. But I think today it has changed, and it has changed to a very large extent, whereby the IoT and the analytics is becoming an integral part of the network solutions that we provide. Another great area that we actually look at is also that how do we make them more consumer friendly, and the consumer part of the solutions, where every information that you have, can it be given to the consumer on an app, on a real-time basis, so that they understand that how they can themselves partner and participate in managing the energy requirement. Simple examples in terms of earlier the bill used to come after a month. Now we can provide them on real-time basis, and whereby you can know that what is the consumption pattern that you have, what way you can reduce the consumption, what are the other people staying in your vicinity, their consumption. So I think the way the technology interventions are taking place, there is a great opportunity to work with the institutions, but I still feel that many of the Indian institutions are not coming forward to the extent that it is required. They need to not only reskill themselves, but also the whole lab system and the whole experimentation programs that they need to carry out needs to be revisited. The equipments in their labs have to be revisited. And I'm sure together we can do amount of work in terms of especially carrying out application engineering, which will provide unique solutions for our country. We are at a cusp whereby India can lead the transformation, especially in the clean and green energy space. A lot of things that we can do, and we are fortunate that we are rich in renewable resources, especially sunlight, and the solar plants can play a very, very critical role, not only for our country, but also for many of our neighboring countries and the One Sun, One World program. So I am very excited about the opportunity, and I'm sure the program that AICTE is carrying out under the ATAL Training and Development Academy will lead to a lot of collaboration, a lot of thinking, a lot of innovation, a lot of creativity in whichever field people are working. And once again, thank you, Dr. Mamta, Mr. Amit Datta, and the others organizers of ATAL Academy for giving me the opportunity, and to all the people, all the faculty members who are today participating. I'll be personally more happy to work and collaborate with each one of you in areas of mutual interest. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your kind words. And you have rightly said that a lot of things are required to be done. And from the pedagogical point of view, the technological transformation, and the uniform distribution of electricity among the all villages. And you have tossed a lot of question and problem statements to our faculty and students also for the data analytics and provide the solution. Thank you for your kind words, sir. Thank you once again. We are moving ahead, and I would like to invite Dr. Dinesh Singh, who has recently joined us as a director in ATAL Academy. Sir, welcome to the ATAL Academy, and I invite you for proposing the formal vote of thanks.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Datta, sir. A warm and graceful morning to everyone who has joined our inaugural session. It's my immense pleasure to propose vote of thanks on behalf of AICTE ATAL Cell. Myself, as Mr. Datta has introduced me, I have just joined Dr. Dinesh Singh, Director ATAL Cell. Profuse heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Praveen Sinha, sir, CEO and Managing Director of the Tata Power Company. Dr. Sinha, sir, is a renowned personality, technocrat, and marvelous administrator of our country. The complete whole nation is really proud of you, sir. Respected sir, by such a comprehensible inaugural session for commencing 20 ATAL FDPs by your good self, we are highly blessed by exemplary treasure of your knowledge, expertise, and experience, sir. Really, it was very wonderful, sir. Respected sir, you have enlightened us with deep sense of inspiration and innovative ideas of the topic revealed with precise, interesting facts, especially for the power factors. This inaugural, and hence due to this inaugural session becomes also a wonderful technical session, and it was highly decent, sir. And we ensure our good self that all the distinguished participants will definitely imbibe your exemplary thoughts, ideas, and guidance in their profession for better future of our stakeholders, especially the students and the research personalities. ATAL Cell, immensely thankful and grateful to our worthy IICT Chairman, Professor Anil D. Sahasrabudhe sir, Vice Chairman, Dr. Professor M.P. Punya sir, and Member Secretary, Professor Rajiv Kumar sir, and our dynamic advisor, Mrs. Mamta Rani Agarwal madam, who always stands us as a pillar of power and blessings, as a constant motivator, guiding force, and inspire us in all our endeavors to excel in our work. ATAL Cell is sincerely thankful to all the distinguished participants to make this inaugural session a huge success. I respectfully thanks to Dr. Girdhari Lal Garg, our Assistant Director at ATAL Cell, and no doubt Dr. Amit Datta, presently promoted as a Director, for overwhelming welcome to our Chief Guest, ATAL Cell, and all the team members of AICT and ATAL Cell for making this inaugural session for 20 ATAL FDPs so successful and memorable. Respected Chief Guest, sir, we have a humble request to you, sir. So please shower your blessings us in future also, in the same manner or as your good self desires, for the welfare of the teaching fraternity and the society, sir. Again, thanks a lot of all. And with due permission of our Honorable Chief Guest, sir, please let me conclude this inaugural session for 20 faculty development programs commenced by the AICT ATAL Cell. Have a great day ahead, sir. Sir, thank you, sir. And namaskar, sir.